How's everybody doing today? Let's let some people get up in the room and we will get right to the show. We got a lot to cover today, and let's get these comments up. Already got 10 thumbs up, so that's awesome. Great, great. How is my microphone? How do I sound? Everything good before we get into it? Let's see here. All right. We got people in here. What's going on? All right, there we go. Okay, let's give it a minute. Let's let this room fill up, and we are going to get started. All right, the sound is good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. And I need to add this part of the syllabus to what we are going to cover. Looks like we got 20 people in here, so that's cool. All right, I started to get nervous. I thought for a second it wasn't working. All right, we're in good shape. So today's show, man, we are going to we got a lot to cover. This is probably going to take actually a few classes to get totally through the blend in a very thorough way, in which I feel satisfied in how I taught you guys, so that I didn't leave anything on the table. I just want to get it all out there and get it all, ironed out, so that anybody who is struggling is going to be able to learn something here. And I also had a couple questions that were asked over the post in the community section on the channel. I've had several questions asked, and I will answer all of those. And also, of course, we'll be doing our Q&A session, and we're going to be really getting into it. Okay, so I see we already got some questions filing in here, and this is what we're going to cover. So I'm gonna bring this up real quick. I know it's a little small. Hold up, I'm gonna make it bigger. Okay, right here, this is what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the most common mistakes, and we're going to cover all the other things that I got on that list, and probably whatever else winds up coming up. So, of course, going into it with the most common mistakes first, before we even get any further into this, I need to address those, because I feel like, and if you guys are wanting that sheet, all those things that are listed, I'm actually going to put it in the link in the description after this broadcast. Oop, hold up, I gotta get my key light here because I'm not looking too good. I gotta look a little better if I put this thing on. Bam. All right, I feel like that's improved. That's improved the broadcast a lot. There we go. All right, it was bothering me. So. Yeah, for anybody who wants that list, it's going to be in the link in the description after this broadcast. And as of right now, we're just going to head right through these things. And I know some of this stuff I've mentioned before, but then again, every week we got new people on the channel. There's new people here to learn that are possibly new to barbering entirely. So we got to start from scratch, and we got to make sure that we hit all of them. So probably of all the years that I taught people how to do this, one of the most common of all mistakes, is not holding it flush. So I just want to get that right out in the open, right off the bat. So I have a few clippers over here. This is going to be my my cordless Masters, which is actually not a cordless Masters. It's a corded Masters from like the 50s or something. But I'm going to use this to help me. All right, so you see the clipper blade. It has a little bit of a blend in it, and a lot of you guys get so carried away with trying to flick and trying to whip the wrist and doing all this crazy stuff that you're not actually maintaining a nice flat blade on the surface for long enough. And many times you guys are angling it slightly out or slightly out this way, and as you can see, this blade has a little bit of a bend in it. You can see that it has a little bit of a bend. And so flat is actually not going to be here. It's actually going to be where that blend is flat. So, one of the other places that you see it is on the guards. So I got a whole bunch of stuff here that we're going to go through today. And I have some of the wall guards. Last week, of course, we talked about Andis. But this week, we're going to talk about some wall stuff. So it's really easy to know where flat is on this guard, because you can kind of see how straight this guard is. So obviously when I'm working up the side of the head, I wouldn't put it nowhere else but here, right? However, when we move to our half guard, the bend is a lot less, and I just want to get this out in the open here so that we all are in complete understanding of this. So holding it flat is a huge pet peeve of mine, and it's definitely something that most beginners struggle with. And if you can't do that, it's going to cause you issues. You're going to have to fight your blends, to no end. Okay, I'm going to look at some of these. Clipper over comb when cutting your own hair. Well, don't do that. I get confused with flush. Okay, this is actually a great comment here. I get confused with flush. I feel like I'm digging in sometimes, and that's exactly what happens when you begin to tip the clipper over the point of flat. Sometimes you can wind up digging in. And remember, I want you guys, like, this is kind of hard to show you guys, but like if you look at my skin is pretty malleable, right? So if I push this clipper into my skin, some of the skin is going to fold over top of the clipper, and it's going to cause it to be cut shorter than you meant to cut it. That's actually an instance of digging, and obviously stretching the skin can be beneficial for that, but it is not the mainstay here. But the important thing is that you hold it flat. And hey, before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know that a little bit later in the broadcast, my man Ant the Barber is going to join us live, and he's going to give us his take on the blend and whatever else we wind up talking about. So if you guys don't know who Ant the Barber is, he's a dope barber, and it's only getting doper from here. That's what he always be saying. So now he's a good dude, and he's going to be on the broadcast a little bit later in the show. So anyways, yeah, you can screenshot that list, but like I said, it's going to be in the bottom. Oh, Sterling's in the house. What's up, Sterling? This here was one of my barber students, and he's a great dude, a fantastic artist, and he's in the house with us. Okay, so we got 45 heads up in the building, man. I just want to give a shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for stopping in, checking out my channel, and helping me grow. 64,000 subscribers and climbing, and we are just making our way right on up there, man. So I can't do it without you guys, and I appreciate you. And I also want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors. That would be Gamma and 614 Barber Supply. Anybody who needs anything from Gamma or just general barber goods, you can go to Barber Supply 614. Those guys got you covered. Use the code Eddie. You'll get a discount at either Gamma or 614 Barber Supply, which helps the channel grow if you don't have the money to donate or whatever. But this is going to be free, man. I'm going to keep this free. I'm going to keep it coming with the fire lessons, and we're gonna try to get you guys to learn as much as you possibly can on this channel. And I feel like the game is to be told, not to be sold. So hopefully we can make our money in other ways that we can continue growing this. So where we left off last week, we talked a lot about, well, actually we missed last week because there was a fair in town. I had to bring my kids, and that's just how it is. But every Saturday we're going to do this, and possibly I might even start doing this Tuesday nights or Tuesday nights as well as Saturday nights. Something like that. We might wind up doing this 2 days a week just to try to cover as much information as possible. Okay, the other most common mistake that I have listed here is not understanding the steps. That we're actually going to get into in just a minute, so I'm not too worried about that one. Getting lost in the blend, that's definitely something that I see a lot of people struggling with. People do get lost as they go from the 1.5, the 1, the half, and they're jumping around so much, and they might lose track of where they are. It's important that we understand our fade scale, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes on the other camera. But we're going to go through these things to help you, so that if you do get lost, which, believe it or not, we all do. Even the pros, people who've been doing this for a long time, everybody has instances where what they're doing is not working, and they have to retrace their steps, or they have to go back, or they have to do the detail work. And as a matter of fact, I was watching Chris Bassio's one of his latest drops, and he had mentioned something that actually reminded me of something. How many people in this room right now, just leave a comment if this has happened to you, have almost had the most perfect haircut ever? It was done. You were about to send this client out happy as could be, and you go in there for that one last detail because you're just so anal. You want to give them a good haircut, and you create a light spot, or you create an issue, and now you're working at it for another 10 minutes to try to get it almost to as good as it was, but it isn't ever going to be as good as it was. So that made me actually add one more thing to my list, and it's the details at the end of the cut and how to not go overboard. So How many of you guys have had this issue? Leave it in the comments, and I'd be curious to hear how many other people have had this issue. I think that if you've been barbering for long enough, this is something that you're definitely going to go through from time to time. And that's another thing that we're going to talk about in this broadcast. I'm gonna try to explain to you guys a way in which you will minimize the amount of cleanup work you do towards the end of the haircut, and thereby hopefully less detail work means you have a less chance of making a mistake right before you're about to get it out the door, and boom, you make a little mistake. So listen, we always make these mistakes. These things happen. I'm no different than you. I do it from time to time as well. I get greedy. I know how good I am, and I want to make it as good as I can. But listen, we all have to make allowances for certain types of hair. It's just not going to be able to do certain types of things. And, we need to come to the realization that not everybody's got that like absolute perfect hair that you can just make the absolute best fade out of. They're not all making the gram. All right. So anyways, the other the other last thing that I have on the most common mistakes list is not having your equipment set up properly, which we're going to talk about that right here. Okay. The one of the foundations of the way that I teach haircutting. Okay. Now I know there's people who are going to disagree with some of my methods. That's fine. But this is my channel. I'm going to teach it how I feel is easiest to learn. And one of the things that you need to be able to do is you need to be able to remove a 5-0 line. A 5-0 line you could easily achieve with your trimmer, okay? And these trimmers, they're going to cut down to 5-0s, but of course, this is going to be probably the worst tool that you could use to achieve the 5-0s. And over again on the channel, you see me using a detachable to achieve the 5-0s, okay? And the thing about it is, this machine needs to be able to cut close. Now this here is the Gamma Absolute Hitter, which I have a ceramic blade on it, and it's kind of dirty because I just grabbed it out the shop after my last haircut and brought it home, and I haven't even had time to clean it yet. But when you get down to it, this is my sharpest tool that I got. I have this one set as close as I can. It's sort of a dangerous tool for somebody else to just pick up and try to use. However, this thing can get out some lines if I really need to go back to it. We'll get to that in a second. But the fact that it's zero gapped, all that really means is that this top blade is ever so slightly under, the moving blade is ever so slightly under the top blade. We want it as close as we can get it to that top blade without going over, because the moment it goes over, the jig is up. You're going to cut your clients, and you probably still might even cut your clients when you got them this close. So again, this can be an issue when the skin folds over. Obviously, you're going to have skin that folds over. Sometimes if you push this too hard into somebody's head, you're definitely going to cut them. You're going to cut a kid. You're definitely going to cut somebody around the ears. So when you work with a tool that's super sharp, you definitely want to use a light hand. You definitely want to be careful. And you might not need to make it as sharp as I do. This is just a personal preference, but you do need to have it close. Enough said, enough said. But in order for this to help you, that's when you come in with your electric shaver, my phone. Okay, the electric shaver coming in behind this at 5-0s means that the jump in between this length that this thing leaves and the electric shaver is going to be very small, okay? And then the jump from the trimmer to the closed taper position needs to also be very small. So as long as all three are aligned, and I'm not going to talk too much more about this. I know I'm boring some of you guys. A lot of you guys know this. But I'm not going to touch too much more about it. But if you need to learn how to zero gap your clippers and set them up properly, I have made multiple videos talking about this. So let's move on from those things. Now, the next thing that we need to get to talking about is before I move into the next part, let's grab some questions from over here, and I'd like to answer if anybody's got anything. Okay. Kevin Carlin, this happens to me with holes or dents in the head. I call them bellies, but that's when problems happen. Absolutely. A very common place in the head to have an issue is just behind the ear, just behind the temple region. Right here, there's always a little bit of a hollow in the head. And it's very easy to think that you're actually cutting hair when you're trying to cut a shadow. Because if you think about how the way the light hits it, generally most lights have been positioned above the top, and it casts the shadow from here into any parts of the areas of the head. People who are skinny or have kind of a lot of little lumps in the head, it's going to be very hard to get that fade to blend out. You can have it completely skinned and it's going to be completely, difficult to get. Okay. So here we got this gentleman here. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. I've been using your fade system. This really helps. And you will be showing us some of your techniques you use cutting the top. I will. We won't get to it in this broadcast. But we're going to get to it. What if I just did open? Okay, so Mike, I know you've been asking this question here. What if I just did open and close with lever and no in-between lever? That just won't work. I hate to burst your bubble on this, but it won't work because of the fact that you're going to need to use some of those in-between lengths. And probably the most difficult part of the fade is that when you're removing the skin fade, when you're removing the skin line to about the half or the number one. So in those areas, you're definitely going to use more than just opening and closing the levers. Otherwise, you're just going to have an issue with that. Okay. Scissor cut on top. Yeah, I'm getting to that. So, all right, let's jump over to a video. And I've been using this kid's hair for the purpose of these lessons lately, but I want to rewind it back to about right before I begin the blend. Okay, so what I've done for you guys is I've broken the fade up into several different phases. Okay, and the first phase is essentially a bulk removing phase. We talked about it in the very first lesson, and if you need to go back and recap on that, you'll need to go back and recap on that. But this is where we're going to begin this actual lesson. This is talking about the fade, assuming that you know how to use your electric shaver properly, you know how to use your 5-0 properly, and we are ready to attack this skin line. Okay, there's a lot of ways that you can attack a skin line, so it's not necessarily going to be one size fits all here, but there's a lot of ways that you can attack a skin line, and I just want to make sure that we got the wrong camera here. I've been over here on the wrong camera all day. All right, so we're back to the good looking camera, and anyways, so we're about to attack this skin line, right? Now, there's a couple different kinds of attacks that I wanted to discuss. I actually have a set of clippers that Ant the Barber sent me, and we got a wall magic clip here, and I got the half guard, and we will talk about the half attack because a lot of you guys ask about the half attack, and in a minute we're going to explain to you why it's exactly the same. Okay, now this half guard closed is essentially almost the exact same length that you would get when you just open your open taper. Okay, I'm just going to say that for now, and we're going to save that for later. So as you can see, what I'm essentially doing in this blend, I'm going to begin with the open taper. I've done nothing to this point other than the electric shaver, the 5-0 line, cleaned up all the bottom. Everybody with me? Okay. Everybody's with me, and it can work with some guards. Okay, here we go, Mark. Mike says it can work with some guards if you do, but you have to have a good flick, which is exactly something we're talking about in just a few minutes. Should you flick or should you not flick? And the only reason I want to bring this up now for just a second is because flicking your clipper is going to lead to inconsistency, especially if you are just a beginner, and many times even when you're advanced. It is just not consistent to continue to flip. You're not going to come up with the same result every single time. Sometimes you'll nail it, sometimes you'll screw it up, and that's just the way it is. There's a much better way to approach this, especially for a beginner, and that's exactly what we're talking about today, how it is not necessarily to flip. You don't necessarily have to flip to make this work, okay? All right, so back to the fade. I'm going to let this rock and roll. Okay, I'm going to begin with simply using the open taper, and as you can see, I am using a slight flick where I'm actually ending that step all in one movement, okay? So essentially what I'm actually trying to do is I'm trying to create about a 1-inch guideline with the taper in the open position, and I'm doing this with a very light hand as I reach the top. Now, the way that you guys see this, the way that you guys see me doing this, it doesn't mean that you have to do it like this. I'm just showing you my way. This is actually how I work in the field, but you can make a guideline that is easy to see, and there is an advantage to making a guideline that you can see. It's the same thing. You make it the same on both sides. I'm not doing this because I'm filming it, and it's a lot harder for me to set up the camera over and over again. So a step that I just missed that I didn't show you guys is I actually moved it from wide open to one click down. Now the Andis Masters are a perfect clipper to use to explain this to you. So you see I have all these notches here, right? If I was to close it just one notch and continue on doing what I was doing while keeping the clipper in approximately just below where I went. So what we'll do here, just to further explain this point, what we're actually going to do is we're going to jump over to the board. So let me jump over to camera 2 and bam. Okay, so we're back over at camera 2. Essentially what you just see me do is you see me put in my 5-0 line. We've talked about this before. So I'm just going to put 5-0 line, okay? And it was skin below. And we did that with the machine, right? The electric shaver. Now if I stretch this out, just to show you what I was doing, I make the open taper guideline. So we'll put OT up here. Open taper guideline, 5-0. Everybody follow me so far? Ask whatever questions you got. I'll get to them in a minute. But that is essentially what we're talking about, right? So this is in the open position, and I come all the way up to this line. Everybody can understand that portion of this. No matter who's watching it, no matter how new you are, you can get to this part. It's the next part that's going to give you trouble. So that's what I'm here for. The notches on the side. We will move it up one notch. When we do that, we're actually going to come up. We're going to keep the clipper flush, as we've talked about, and slightly on an angle, okay? And you can use a loose hand, all right? But you want to maintain contact on the scalp. So whether if you're flicking or not, flicking doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually leaving the head. You can ride the scalp up and down, and you're going to be far more accurate. And that's another distinction that I want to make with flicking. But we are going to take that thing just below where we went with the previous step, and we're kind of rocking off the head. But the reason why we're twisting this clipper slightly on an angle, I call it this crisscross method. All right, the crisscross method is going to help you because this is the comb blade. The comb blade lifts hair into the moving blade, and the moving blade cuts it. So with that being said, we're going to continue this process by moving this down another notch and coming up. So as we continue to go, let me rock and roll this thing on the video here. As we continue to move, I'm simply just moving this clipper down, keeping it on an angle. Each time I move that clipper, each time I move that lever, we're getting a little bit shorter, we're getting a little bit shorter until you are done. You're going to see that there's going to be no line except for that open taper line. Okay, now who's following me so far? Are we having any trouble? Let's get to some of these questions and let's keep this rolling here. I'm gonna flip back to my other camera and we will go back to this camera. All right, so who's having trouble? What are we talking about? What are we understanding? Are we having trouble? Many barbers do go about this in a different way. I'm going to stop this. We're going to come back here just for a second, and we're going to come back to here for a second. Okay, so the reason why we're moving this on an angle, because if you make a mistake while this is on an angle, your mistake is going to be minimized to something about this big, right? Now, when we're debulking, when we're trying to move fast, certainly we want to use the entire blade. But my feeling on it is if I can minimize the amount of mistakes I can make, I'm going to minimize the amount of time it will take me to cut this hair, because I won't have to go back and chase my tail around over and over again. I'm actually going to have a pretty good chance at making a very small mistake that's not very noticeable, or not making mistakes at all. So that's why I always try to tell you guys, the moment you begin closing your clippers, I want you guys to try to maintain a flush contact and keep a slight angle and use the crisscross method. And using the crisscross method is going to help you to lift up those hairs and feed them into the clipper so that they can be cut properly. And this is why you guys are kind of potentially getting off track, because you never lifted the hair and got it to cut properly. Therefore, you think that you're done with this guard. So you move on. I used to talk about this in a lot of my old videos. I used to say many times I would come across a student who, he should be on step 2, but he's out on step 5. And I don't know why he's on step 5, but he's not gotten all the other steps right. All right. So if you think of this as like a pyramid, you're trying to build a really strong foundation. And this is one of the other reasons why I'm trying to stress to you guys that I want you guys to do this, because you're going to minimize the amount of detail work you're going to have to do at the end of your clip. At the end of your cut, you're not going to have to do that much detail work. Okay. Into my next step here. I've done the open taper to the closed taper. As you guys can see, it's coming out clean. The blend is coming out nice. And all I've done is I've decided I'm going to repeat the exact same process. I put the zero guard on. I began with it in the open position, and I'm going to begin stepping down slightly as I move through this. Now, does anybody know much about cutting certain types of hair? The type of hair that this client has obviously is very straight, it's very fine, and he doesn't have a whole lot of it, so it's a fairly low density. So what we know happens with this type of hair is it's very easy to make mistakes. One wrong move, and this hair is going to let you know all about it. So that's one of the things. You know, this comment right here, I like this. I wish I had an endless supply of models so I could practice. That is exactly what you need to do. You need to get those reps in, no matter what it is going to take, and you're going to have to get those reps in. I mean, that's how we all got good. Listen, man, we all were busting people up at one point. Every great barber you see, every great Instagram barber you see, every great YouTuber, we were all messing people up at one point or another. Now, if you notice on this side of the head, this is another point that I didn't write down that I wanted to. Okay, everybody has a side of their head that cooperates and goes easy, and everybody has a side of their head that doesn't. How many of you guys, by a show of hands in there, how many of you guys have noticed it's a lot easier to cut the side of some clients' hair, and then when you get to the other side of that, it's just a mess, right? We all experience that. The best light setup. Hey, my man Chad Bokers is in the house, and can't wait to start. Hey, listen, I want to give John O a shout out. I can't wait to try. I'm new to barbering at 52 years old. I'm happy for you, man. I'm rooting for you, and I'm glad to hear that you're not afraid to change careers at any time. Anybody who's feeling like they're too old to do this, this is something that I get all the time. Somebody asks me, am I too old to go to barber school? You are absolutely not. The only people who are going to know you're new at this are those who you tell. Okay. Let's see here, and let's see what some of the comments are saying, because I want to keep up with you guys. I want to keep this intuitive, but at the same time, I want this to be a very watchable process when you come back and you watch it another time, if you feel like there's some information here that you missed. So, okay, right here. Mike, I used the half blade for blending, the full blade for guidelines. Using the blade on an angle helps control the clipper easier. This is exactly what I'm talking about. He's basically saying that when he wants to set his next guideline, whether it's the 0 with the open or a 1 with the open taper, he's doing it with it flat, meaning not angled, right? And then when he begins to remove that guideline, he uses angles to help himself out. And that's exactly the techniques that I'm trying to tell you guys about doing. It's definitely going to make it easier. Okay. All right, you guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody in the room. I got 73 people watching. I really appreciate you guys. And I do have the super chat active. If anybody donates, it really helps the channel. I'm not trying to ask you guys to put yourself out, a couple bucks, anything, whatever. But this is obviously a lot of time-consuming things for me to do, and it's very expensive to bring you guys these with multiple cameras and multiple angles and a lot of work throughout the week. So if you guys think we're getting super rich off YouTube, we're not. We're keeping it free, and we're getting by on donations. And of course, if you head over to 614 Barber Supply or Gamma, use the code Eddie, and it helps the channel grow. All right. So let's keep it on. Oh, you know what? We got another barber right here who is 49. All right, 49. He's 1,100 hours in. Caesar, shout out to you, man. I'm very happy that you've decided to do something different. And whatever you guys are doing in life, if you are not happy, if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like you need a change and barbering might be it, you can easily go to most of your local barbershops, tell them how you feel, sit in for a couple days, see what it will be like, you know, get a feel for what it's like, because school can be miserable, right? Because it's long, it's a grind, you got to get through it. But when you get done with it, you're going to be winding up in a different career, and it's going to be awesome. Okay. Let's see what kind of questions we're getting here. All right. Liko Basha. Professor, can you help tell me why I use the wall detailer on the beard neck? It'll scratch the skin or cut it. I assume you may not have been here earlier this is actually a really good question, and this is exactly what I was talking about. It's very easy, especially for skin on the face or under the neck. Okay, now I got a swole beard, right? I got a real swole beard. But the skin under your neck is super stretchy. And what's that mean? It's got a lot of elasticity, right? So as soon as that skin folds over your trimmer, you're probably cutting them. The other reason why it might cut them is it's dull, or the other reason why it might cut them is you may have them set too close, in which case you might have to back this blade off slightly from your top blade so that you're not cutting your clients. What I always try to do myself personally is I try to keep one that's really sharp for doing really good line work. That's my Gamma Absolute hitters. I keep these super, super sharp. They're really a time saver for when I'm doing those hard parts, when I'm doing edge ups and stuff like that. But I wouldn't try to use these on a kid's neck if he's too young, because it could cut him or it could scratch him. So that's the kind of stuff that you could have. Okay. This here is definitely the reason why I began doing these live feeds, because I know not everybody can afford to go to barber school, and I know not every barber school can afford to hire a good teacher. And believe it or not, there's barber schools out there who have no teacher. So that's kind of what this resource is for. I really hope that more people start to catch on to it, start to see what we're trying to do here. But I just think it's really cool that I can kind of teach lessons very similar to how I taught them for 10 years at the Divinity Spring School as I was there. So, that's kind of the whole reason why we do that. And actually, Rumen, this is exactly what we're going to begin talking about today. He's asking me to explain the wall guard system, which last week we talked about Andis, but this week I brought home my wall guards, so we're going to actually get into the wall situation now. All right. Anyways, let's get over to the video. I'll just resume this last video here. Let's just on this side of the head, just to further reiterate it, you just seen what I did there. I just stopped the video. I just closed it a notch after I put in my guideline, right? I closed it one notch after I put in my guideline, and we're going to begin moving down and taking that bulk out, staying just lower than where we were. And really, I'm using the best barber tool I got. The best barber tool you got is your eyes. And as I move down and I look at it, I'm actually, I'm really happy with how it's starting to come out. And that's what's going to tell me if I need to work harder or if I'm about done. Sometimes you will be able to remove these lines or this bulk very easily while skipping steps, because there'll be a higher density or a lower density on one side of the head versus the other. All right, let's drop this one in here. What do you think of block graduation versus clipper over comb? Well, what he's probably referring to is block graduation. I'm not familiar with that term, but what he is probably referring to is relying on guards versus using clipper over combs. And if that's what he's talking about, I definitely would learn clipper over combers, because there's just no way that you can do a haircut like this in 20 minutes without knowing certain techniques that are going to speed you up. It just can't happen. Okay. All right. Now, actually, Mike, it's interesting you say that. Why do the number 1 open versus doing the 0 guard open next with the masters? Okay. Just so you guys know, according to Wall, with the 1005 blade or the 6 blade, I'm starting to get them confused. But according to Wall, when you open this up, supposedly it opens up to a 1. I've always felt like the Andis opened up to a 1 and actually left the hair at about a number 1. But regardless of what they actually leave the hair at, it doesn't even really matter, because you have your guards and that's what you're actually going to go by. So the amount of throw that these clippers give you is more than enough that you guys can make really good haircuts possible. So as you see me continuing this blend, you see me just moving up the side of the head. Now this is the last part of the blend, and we're actually going to talk about this. Oop, I accidentally spread that We're actually going to talk about this last part of the blend here, where you see me actually going through with some texturizing shears, and I'm minimizing some of those dark spots. That's actually going to be phase 4, because like I said, I'm trying to break this up into very easy blocks so that you can learn it. So phase 1, debulk. Phase 2 was clipper over comb. Phase 3, the blend. Phase 4, we're going to do the final touch up, and we're going to use phase 4 also to jump into the top lengths. So once we get to phase 4, that's when we're going to start talking about that. But as of right now, we're working our way in a very manageable, departmentalizing the learning so that it's very easy to understand and to learn. Okay. Block graduation is scissor technique when you cut the shape and fade it instead of. Block graduation is scissor technique when you cut in the shape and then fade it in instead of on the sides and do the shape with the clipper. I would never personally do it that way. That seemed like something that, you know, I'm not really too familiar with why you would do it like that. I've always preferred to do it this way, just because it's just a lot faster. I'm all about speed here. I'm all about trying to maximize the amount of quality you can get in the amount of time that you can deliver that quality. So, all right, you guys, you want to go through the fade scale, and we have to go through the fade scale because there's no way that we will be able to. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, buddy. There's no way that we're going to be able to understand all these guards and all these techniques if we don't understand what we're doing. And there's also a thing that's been popping in my mind lately, and I'm kind of beginning to call it like trapping the fade. So when you get lost, or when you're struggling with a dark spot, or you're having some issues and you're not sure what's going to take care of that issue and make that blend smooth, there's actually a way that you can kind of trap the fade in between the guards where you believe the issue is. So in order to learn about that and in order to talk about that, we are going to need to switch to camera 3 and go back to the board. So the one thing that I think a lot of people have trouble understanding, and it's so easy to just not even think about this, but I'm going to make you think about this because I really think it's going to help you to learn it. All right. All fades. If I was to put something alongside of the head, right? All fades are going from nothing, which we'll call skin. And by the way, many of you guys might ask this question in the future. Just because I'm showing you how to do it from skin doesn't mean that you couldn't just pick up these steps and begin doing it from whatever your client asked for. For instance, if the client asks for a number 1, do the steps that I'm teaching you from the number 1 up. Then you're not having to do these additional steps down here in the skin area. Okay. So if I was to put something flat up against the side of somebody's head, right? Obviously it's coming from skin and it's gradually getting longer. And that's what I'm trying to show you with this diagram. What do we do into clipper over comb? We talked about it last week. What do? We use a number 2 or a number 1.5 into clipper over comb. So in this diagram, we're going to put 1.5 at the top. All right. And the reason why, for anybody who wasn't here, was because the back of this comb, about the width of this comb, is about the same as a 1.5. All right. So what that means is that if I was to take this clipper and this comb and put it right up against somebody's head and cut whatever stuck out, it would remain at about a 1.5. So that's why we're talking about this, and we are not talking about clipper over comb because we can't talk about everything every single time or we will learn nothing. Something I learned about in school is you can't give people too much information at once. They just can't digest it, and all you're going to do is confuse them. So I'm trying my best to teach it the same way that I did at the school, as though I was standing right beside you. I wish that I could. Okay. Skin. Okay. Now, in order to get from 1.5 to skin, there's a million ways that we can do it. Okay. But the very next step up from the skin is the trimmer. Okay. Skin to the trimmer, right? And the next step up from the trimmer. What is it, guys? What is it? What do we got here? All right, we're getting a lot of comments here. Let me see what's going on here. All right. All right. We had 2 barber instructors. My barber instructor taught us was years ago, but I don't know. All right. So anyways, in any event, no matter how it's going, 1.5. Okay. The next one going to be 1 open. Next one. What's under the one open? One closed. Next one. What's under the one closed? Okay. 0.5 open. So that's a half guard open. What's under the half guard open? Half guard closed. Then it's very simple. What's half guard closed? Open. That's just a simple open taper and a closed taper. So we're actually going to do the fade scale the right way. I'm just showing you guys that this is exactly what's happening. It's coming from skin, goes to trimmer, goes to closed taper, open taper 5, 0.5 close, 0.5 open, 1 close, 1 open, 1.5, and so on and so forth as it goes up. As it goes up. So let's do a real fade scale here so that we can further reiterate the point. Because it's very easy to lose track of what you're actually trying to accomplish. You're trying to take hair that's short and you're trying to make it long. Now, all of my scales pretty much always have started with a 2. And the way that I like to explain it is if I was to shave somebody's entire head with a number 2, and of course, if they want something over a number 2, we're going to use clipper over comb to achieve that, all right? But if they want something over a number 2, we're going to use clipper over comb. But if I was to shave someone's entire head with a number 2, I think anybody here on this channel that's watching is capable of doing that, right? What could I take into a 2 without making another line? And the answer, if we're talking about wall, which we are, and maybe I should make a quick note, we're talking about wall. Whoops, misspelled it. Why do they spell it like that? Okay, we're talking about wall, right? All right, so wall has a number 2. And what I was just talking about was a number 1.5. Okay, so they have a 1 1/2. The 1 1/2 can be put into the 1, and 1 1/2 can be put into the open position. So 1.5 in the open position, take it into a number 2, that's not going to create a line. All you got to do, open it up, stay just a little bit lower, not going to have any issues, right? Then, if I wanted to take into a 1.5, theoretically speaking, I could just close this, take the hair all underneath that area. I just went with the 1.5 open, and with the 1.5 closed, I'm not going to create a line, right? It's not going to create any line, okay? Now, I want to jump to the very next step with wall. The very next step with wall is the 1 open, okay? So 1 open into a 1.5 closed is not going to create an issue, right? So we're going to put a 1 open. Obviously, 1 closed would be the next step. All I'd have to do, close it, stay just underneath it. Now, of course, this is an ungodly amount of steps. It's going to take you forever to do this. But the truth is, you could do a pretty good fade from a 1 to a 2 right now if you were to use this technique, okay? And the very next step, what's the next step, you guys? I know there's a little bit of a delay when I do this broadcast. It's not as fast, so I'm reading some of your comments. They occurred a couple minutes ago, but I'm going to get to them. We're going to do a 0.5 open and obviously 0.5 closed, open, closed. I'm getting smaller here. And then I want trimmer, and then I want skinner. Okay? So the area where you're going to have the issues is not from about here up, because you can make those mistakes. And the reason why you can make those mistakes is because the scalp is lighter than the hair, right? And the hair will hide those mistakes. So from the 2 down to the 1, you're not going to have any problems. You're not going to have any issues as much because the backlight of the scalp is minimized due to the length of the hair that is covering the scalp. However, down here, in between the half and the skin, this is where the issues are going to start, right? And that's why I always magnify this part. That's why we always talk about this part, because all of you guys are capable of doing these above steps, right? Especially if you've been watching this for a while, you're all capable of doing these above steps. Now, it's these lower steps when you have to use sub steps. So especially when we come from the 0.5 or anywhere. So as soon as we come from skin, and then we have our trimmer, and we move into the future lengths. Okay, this is where you're going to start to have your issues. Okay, skin, trimmer, your closed taper, your open taper, and then your 0.5. This is when you're going to start having your issues, okay? Because these steps, they require additional steps in between them. The skin, as soon as I come close to where I went with that trimmer line, I need to be flicking away. I need to be flicking away, right? The closed taper, I need to begin with the open taper and begin working it down in those increments, which we talked about. I use the notches for the masters. The notches for the masters is what helped. It helps a lot of beginners to give you something. But the truth is, the notches are not going to, they're not going to be the end all be all, because you're still going to have to learn to use your eyes. Your eyes are actually what's telling you what to do, where to go, and how to do it, okay? So as you begin moving down, that's when the issues are going to start, and that's why it's just so important for you guys to learn how to do that, the crisscross method, because in the crisscross method, you wind up cutting all of the hair. All right, so we're going to open this back up to some Q&A, and I want to see what we got. All right, I've missed a lot of. Oh my God, Greg, stop, man! You got me flooded over here. Okay, cool. Let's see what people are saying here. Now, Mike, this is perfect, man. I use the wall half guard only when the rest of the guards. I think I know what he might be saying. Now, this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Is there's actually not much of a difference if you decide to make your first attack on that skin line, that portion in the video that we talked about. You decide to make that first attack on that skin line with an open taper, like 99% of the barber community does, all right? It's not going to be that much different if you take your half guard on here, you close it, and you put it in the closed position. Now, what are the advantages to doing this? The advantages for certain types of clippers and for certain things, most clippers will cut better in the closed position, all right? And that's why I enjoy using the half attack. So sometimes instead of the very first attack being just an open taper with no guard, I like to put the half guard on and I open it just a tiny bit, just a smidge to give myself a little bit more room, and I let that become my first line. Now, if you do that, it's going to be almost the same. It's going to be almost the same. Hey, the Northern Cali way, man. Thank you for showing up. Free knowledge. I'm going to put these schools out of business. If only I could give you guys the license, that would be fantastic. But I didn't want to put anybody out of business. I just want to help everybody out. All right. All right. So what do we got going on here? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Mike. I see what you're saying. The same guy, and you react to the different ways from the first. Wait, what? Let me see what this says, Gerg Style. Can I send you 3 videos of the same guy? You react to how different they are from the first being in December 2nd, February, and the last was 3 days ago. I can't just bring anybody on the channel just in case. I don't want to get. Oh, Big L's in the house, my man. How we doing, man? How's things going out in Cali? I can't just bring anybody's thing up on here because I don't want to create any copyright violations or anything like that. If it's one of you guys, you want to send me some of your work, one of these days I can put up some of your work on the channel and we could talk about maybe where you could make improvements or something like that. I would be okay with doing something like that in the future. Okay, so let's see, man. Thank you, Dark Knight. I appreciate you guys stopping in. Just sharpen the blades they hit. Okay. So when you're using the lever, Mike, when you're using the lever, okay, this is a pretty simple way to do it. All right. If you still have a line in your current step, and it should be removed with this step, if you still have a line going, you're going to need to move your lever down, because the only thing you can do to really remove a line is make sure that you're actually cutting the hair. So if you're going with the grain or against the grain, if you are definitely sure that this guard is not taking that hair off, the only thing you could do is go down. And that was another thing that I've seen a lot of barbers struggle with over the years, is they thought they did everything they could do with that clipper blade, and most of the time they haven't. Most of the time they haven't. So I feel like I should mention this before we'll wait because I'm about to get the special guest on the line we're about to keep talking, and I'm going to see if I can maybe reach out, make a call to him real quick, and let's see if we can get him. Let's see if we can get him on the horn here. All right. Let's see here. How do we do it again? Been a little while. All right. So we go to calls. Call Ant the Barber. All right, let's call Ant the Barber, you guys. I'm interested to hear his take on it, and let's get him in here. All right, I had to silence my computer. I definitely got a little bit of a delay going on that.
What up, guys?
Okay. Actually, what's up, man?
What's up, Eddie?
How we doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Is my camera on?
I don't think so. Not yet. Hold on a second. Let's put this back on here. Yeah. There we go. Uh-oh. My man's in the house. What's good, buddy?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
All right, man. You know what? Let's do this one over here. Let's go here. Bam. All right, you're in the screen. You're sharing it with me, man. And we got 70 people in the house, and we're getting a good amount of comments. People are questioning all kinds of stuff.
I see that. I was just watching your method right now, man. I was in
it. Nice, man. Nice. So I'm actually gonna take these headphones off, man. I can barely hear him. All right, man. So like Ant the Barber, just so you guys know,
Call of Duty.
You're playing some Call of Duty?
No, it looks like you were with them headphones.
I know, right? I know. All right, let me get my comments back up over here. Okay, man. Oh, here we go. We got Al. Al's in the house too, man. Big Al.
Yo, what up, Al?
Yep. So, anyways, man, what we basically are talking about, obviously, we're talking about the blend. And, I know your style, man. I've tried it a little bit, and it works pretty good for me, dude. I'm not even going to lie. Sometimes I'll be using your style, and I feel like it does seem to speed my process up at times. So, why don't you just explain kind of the differences that we have? Like, I'm always telling people to go open and then slowly close it down. You go open, then you do your thing.
I feel like, my logic behind it is create one, erase one. Create one, erase one. So once I create a guideline, I don't create a new one until I erase that one. And I like to come in and set my guidelines in with the lever fully open because it sets me up for my next step. And then I close up underneath it. However, I do use a half guard. When I remove that one closed, I come in with the lever fully open and I use the fade down process then. So we do cut really similar as far as setting in our guides and removing them. We just have a slightly different approach once it gets into removing the guidelines.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. And I'm actually gonna put you up on the screen. I know you can't really see this. It's probably a little bit of a delay, but I got his channel up on the screen, and I want everybody who's watching this, man, if you guys get a chance, go and follow my man Ant. He's dropping content like crazy, and you guys are not going to be disappointed. There's a lot of people on here that are doing a lot of good stuff, and these guys can really help you out. He's always putting in work on the channel. All right, so
hey, same with Big Al's channel, man. There's a lot of knowledge on that channel too.
And he was on with me last week. And so, all right, we got a question here. This is I'm gonna drop it in the broadcast here. Gerg style. So Ant like this: open taper, remove it. Half guard, open, remove it. Open, remove it. So I think what he's kind of trying to say is you're saying basically you would use an open taper to remove it, and I'm not really following him 100%. I think
I'm lost.
I'm trying to. I think he meant that in reverse. I think he meant open taper and then put in the guideline with the open taper and then close the taper to begin to remove it.
I can't see the comments for some reason. I think it's because I'm not on YouTube. I'm on Skype with you, so
yeah, you won't be able to.
Yeah. But I feel like what he's trying to say is, like, my logic is create one, erase one, create one, erase one. I feel like that's what he's trying to say.
Right, right. Abdullah already said he said he already went and subbed to both of us, man. So that's great.
Hey,
Because
man, I appreciate that.
so I was gonna bring this up a little while ago, but I felt like I'd wait till I had you on here. How are you guys dealing with like protecting yourself from the virus and shit with all the nonsense that's going on? It's a little scary. Like today, I worked with a mask. I mean, you know, I got kids and stuff. You know, I don't want to bring anything home, obviously. And I know Big Al's going through some stuff, man. It's real bad out there in Cali. I seen he dropped a video earlier. I hadn't had a minute to watch it, but are you doing anything like, you know?
Well, I'm actually sick right now, and I have all the symptoms except the fever.
Oh no.
So I'm not cutting anybody right now, you know, and that's my way of preventing the spread. Prior to that, we all look at our can of Andis Cool Care, that thing kills HIV. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so I was
God.
just straight happy, keeping everything disinfected. And what I was doing is I was cleaning after every client. You know, I was letting the new client, I would set him down, do his consultation, and I let him watch me disinfect and clean my clippers right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just kind of put everybody at ease. And honestly, I'm OCD, so I'm really clean about it anyways. But I noticed that this time I was using the mirror a lot more than I typically have, just so I typically face my client away from the mirror until I'm done with the haircut.
Right, right.
But I was turning them to the mirror so they could watch me, you know, disinfect everything and keep everything very sanitary.
And,
you know, and
Al just commented.
I have kids too. This is my little one. Come here. She's.
Oh no!
Say
Hey baby, I got a little one about almost the same age. She's about 2 almost. Was she 3, 4?
Yeah, she's 3.
Yeah.
I got them from 3 to 21.
Oh my God! You got a 21-year-old?
Yeah.
Man, how old are you? I feel like we're the same age.
I'm 37. Don't tell nobody.
Hey, Big Al just left a comment, man. He said business for him is down 50%. That's crazy.
He said it's down 50?
Said he's down. His business is down 50%.
You know, I don't want to throw a shameless plug on here, but with my current situation, I feel like I have to throw it out there. Is us being barbers, we have a really great opportunity that a lot of people don't take advantage of because we do have cash every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to take that money and invest it for times like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of work right now. You know, I'm self-employed. It's not like somebody's going to write me a check and say, get better. So I invested in a large amount of clippers, and I have them at a really great discounted price if anybody wants to check me out.
Oh, he does, Instagram. Bro. He does. Hold up. Let me show you. Yo, I'm sitting here right here. All right, listen, I wanted to say something for you guys too, because Ant's got some rock bottom prices, man. My man Ant is the truth. He had this to me in like record time too. It was here in like 3 days. So if you guys need anything, Wall, my man is doing it. He's dropping them. I
appreciate it. Free shipping.
Free
anywhere
shipping.
In the U.S.
No, that's dope, man.
I mean, but you know, but so luckily, you know, I know how to invest that money. I'm not out buying sneakers as soon as I leave the shop. I'm not buying drinks in the club. I'm not.
You messing around on Robinhood buying them stocks? We all are, man.
Yeah.
You know, with the stock market crashing, man, every single person in my shop, man, we all been looking for, you know, what's going on, and we all feel like we got little hustles. I ain't giving out no financial advice or nothing. I ain't in no position to do so, but I'm just saying, like, there could be some really good opportunities for somebody. Obviously, a lot of it's negative, and it's hard to even bring it up around clients because, you know, if you're talking to an older guy, he's probably losing his butt right now, and you're over here like, oh, you know, I'm kind of right at the age to start investing, and this seemed like a good time to get in, and, you know, you're kind of being that guy, you know?
Definitely.
Now I don't know if this is gonna work or if this is gonna protect me, but I've been wearing gloves for 10 years. All right, and it pisses me off now that gloves have tripled in price, and I don't even have enough to get by. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I looked at my glove supply. I have 2 boxes left, so I'm definitely not gonna be able to outlast the apocalypse over here. And
What, hey, Eddie, what you do is you wear them one way and you flip them inside out.
flip them inside out, wear them again, right? So, anyways, I was thinking what I've been doing. I'm wearing a mask, and it's kind of hard with the beard today, and I have my gloves on too, and I feel like you know, I don't know if it's doing any good or whatever, but like, you know, one of the things that kind of sucks is like all my appointments. Most of these people are like really respectful. They don't come in when they're sick. They don't come in when they have been exposed to something potentially. But you got a lot of people who just walk in, and you know, they don't have any respect for your business like that, and they're just sitting in there coughing and sneezing and stuff. I mean, you gotta get them out now. Like, you don't want to be. It ain't easy to be that dude to be like, yo, you got to take a hike, but yo, you got to take a hike. Like, we can't have you in the shop right now. You know.
So I went grocery shopping yesterday.
Well, hold
the
on,
aisles are.
Hold up, you're gonna want to hear that. You're gonna want to hear this one. He wrote, "Where can we buy from Ant? What site do we need to go to?"
I just do it directly from my Instagram, and my Instagram's AntTheBarber509.
AntTheBarber509. You head over to his
I keep
Instagram.
it really simple, and because I keep it really simple, I'm able to give hands down the best prices out. You know, there's no complication. I'm not, you know, I'm just spreading love. I'm not running a business.
Exactly. No, I hear you, man. I mean, people are telling me I need to shave my beard, bro.
No way.
Not happening. If I gotta listen, if I gotta go out on my shield with this beard, then that's what's gonna happen. All right. People are not even understanding. This thing has a natural filter. If I comb down this right here, that's a natural filter.
You don't need a mask.
You don't even need it. Flip it up. Exactly. So
yeah, man, I went grocery shopping. I managed to spend almost $600, but I'm telling you, the shelves were empty. All I was able to get was a lot of frozen foods.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it that's really shitty is, oh, excuse my language, mama. The thing about it is they just shut every school down in my state too for 2 months.
2 months?
So my state's getting ready to like declare a state of emergency, and people are controlled by fear. So it's horrible times today.
Somebody just asked what about shipping to the UK?
You know, honestly, I get asked that a lot, but I don't know what it costs to ship to the UK. You know, I feel like, you know, I'll gladly ship it to you, but that's something you're going to have to find out, you know, by calling your post office.
Yeah. Oh, hold up. We got this guy here. He says, "How much for black market toilet paper, Ant?"
Hey, check it out. I'll make a deal. Anybody that purchases from me from this live right here, I will include 1 roll of toilet paper with your purchase.
I'm not even lying, yo. I'm not even lying. All right, I had to go and make a return today at a store. I'm walking out and some dude comes up to me, goes, "Yo, you want to buy some toilet paper? Yo, $4 a roll." Some dude. Just some dude had a bunch of rolls. I looked in the back of his car, it was full. And I was like, "Really, dude? You're going around doing this?" He's like, "Hey, man, we're taking this money for a donation." He said, "Yeah, okay, it was a donation to himself." My man was donating to himself.
Yeah, no, hey, that's a come up.
I know, right? Go around. Imagine if I would have just bought another box of gloves right now. I would have been so happy because I don't need anything right now. But damn, man, they're picking the most. You know, like we have been through this as Floridians a lot because we get prepared for hurricanes like regularly, and everything is gone like instantly. No gas, no food, no water. I mean, everything disappears instantly in the hurricane situation. But I gotta admit, man, this one kind of snuck up on me because I'm not really taking it serious because it hasn't been serious in my area. But like all of a sudden now I'm starting to wake up and I'm kind of like, man, you know, this could really have an impact on us.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not afraid of the virus. I don't think any of us are gonna, like, I know I'm not gonna die. My daughter's not gonna die, you know, but unfortunately there are people that have really shitty immune systems. And the flu is killing people every day and nobody's tripping on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Everybody's scared because they can't cure this, and it's man-made, and that is kind of scary. And I'm not into politics or anything, but I definitely feel like if my Theo Trump wanted to go blow all them out the water, then I can't really tell him it would be a bad idea because they started the shit.
Oh my god. All right. I was gonna ask you something on Oh wait, Big Al said you got a stockpile of toilet paper. He says he could get
Hey,
five
I'm not
rolls for
gonna lie.
20.
Hey, Eddie, I I knew of a little mama and pop store. It's like 8 miles up a little like canyon road. And I told my wife because we couldn't find any toilet paper, anything at all in the store like everybody else. And I told her, I was like, I bet you nobody's been up there. And I literally went up there and cleared them out. I bought 22 rolls
Oh
of toilet
damn.
paper, 4 packs. I spent I bought everything I could from there. They were so happy and thankful, but they were so confused because honestly, they're old school and they don't even really know what's going on
Oh
right
my
now. They're
god,
just like,
really? Like
yeah, like
just that
they were
far.
so confused. Yeah,
Oh man, I really hope that this doesn't go too impactful for barbershops because it's just such a personal thing to be so close to your barber, and there's really no way for us to minimize the risks as much as just trying to be clean, trying to use gloves, trying to wear masks and stuff like that.
if
Uh,
I were in a shop right now, a mask would be number one priority because, like you said, there's a lot of people that don't take it seriously because they're like, oh, it's not going to kill us, so they're going and they're getting their haircuts feeling like I am.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They're spreading it around, and you're seeing 10 times more people than he is, so you're extra spreading it around, and
yeah.
it takes like 2 weeks to even notice symptoms. Like,
That's the
I don't
scary
know,
thing.
man.
Even in a lot of people, they could be carrying it and not even know they have it. Like we as barbers might even have it and be spreading it to other people. I mean, God, I hope that this ends, man. I hope that the path that we're on brings this. But I hear people in China are getting back to work. Like some of the Apple stores are supposedly opening and stuff like that, and that was from December till now. So I mean, we could be looking at hopefully 3 months to getting kind of kind of going back to normal because I just feel like I just bought my shop a year ago. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
things are going really well for us. I've put in a hell of a lot of work to get where we're at, and we all have. It isn't just me. It's like my whole team has been working hard, and it just sucks to have some complete outside force that you never could have guessed. You know what I'm saying? This isn't bad management or just poor decisions. This was not even like something that you would prepare for. Uh oh, MMA's in the house.
Uh-oh.
King Troll in the
Uh-oh.
house. He writes, "It's gonna be an MMA fight tonight, as a matter of fact, with no fans, I guess."
Wow, that's so crazy.
I mean,
I've been seeing all these memes going around, dude saying now that ESPN shut down, I'm watching and they're showing I'm watching people bowling and shit.
mm-hmm.
I was laughing so hard.
I don't know if you were in for the earlier part though, just to get back to hair a little bit. We were talking about how like sometimes you could be like a minute away from finishing your cut, and you just go back in for like those final details, and you
And you
over
get stuck for
detail,
another 15.
and you over detail a little spot, and all of a sudden you're there for another 15.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's just the
And now
worst.
your low fade is like a low mid fade and
Yep. I was trying to tell people earlier, and what we're eventually going to get to talking about is just how important it is to just be thorough throughout all your steps, so that you can minimize the amount of cleanup work you have at the end, which again is going to help you minimize the amount of mistakes that you might make while attempting to make it perfect in the end.
yeah.
So
I think one of the most important thing for like beginner barbers because like I know a lot of my subscribers are like beginners. Obviously, I'm not like an advanced barbering channel. I'm not showing you how to do the fancy Nancy. But I feel like one of the most important things to understand right out the gate is to just always lock in on confidence,
Mm-hmm.
because your client is constantly watching you and your body language, whether you realize it or not. And as soon as you lose that confidence, that's when your client reads it. Then you read your client, and then it all goes downhill from there. It's stressful. They're staring you in the eye. You're sweating.
Yep.
You know, you got every excuse to why it's taken so long. And, as long as you just maintain that confidence, you could hide a bad haircut with a smile, man. I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
not encouraging that, but
No, but
what
I
I'm
mean, I think
saying,
what you're kind of saying basically is like if you're still a good person and you're trying your best, and people can see that you are going the extra mile for them, even if you don't have the skills yet, there's still a pretty good chance
they
you're going to have
appreciate that.
a repeat person. You know what I mean? A repeat
Oh yeah,
client.
absolutely. They value and they appreciate that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because it definitely is a lot of anxiety for newer people that are getting started, and they just feel like, oh God. And I try to tell people, like, to just departmentalize what you're doing. Like, don't try to think that you got to do all this stuff still. Like, literally all you got to do is put a line in and try to make it as straight as you can. That's all you got to focus on right now.
Exactly.
You don't need to focus on step
Exactly.
two. You're still on step one. All right. When you get
Yeah.
done with step one, we go to step two. Don't think about, oh God, I got to do the scissors on top. Oh God, I got to do this. I got to style it. Got to blah blah blah. Don't think about all that. Just work it each step that you're on, and move yourself, through that. And my
That's
man
why
says, "Fake it till you make it," Sterling. He says, "Fake it till you make it."
that's why that's why my method and my logic with my fade system is create one, erase one.
Mm-hmm.
So you create that guideline and then you erase it before you continue to the next one. And it just keeps everything organized and very simple and structured. And if you are new and you do happen to go in to do detail work and you do put a chip in the fade, and you are stuck, having to redo everything, like I said, just maintain that confidence. And as you go in there and the minutes start to pass by, before they pass by too many, just be like, hey, you know what? I seen something. I feel like it would just complement your head shape a little bit more. Let me polish this up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just always maintain that.
Yeah.
What's up, mama?
Yeah, and like what I try to do before I hand my client the mirror, like, and this is probably something a lot of you guys don't do. This is just like checking your rough draft before you write your final. Go through and look at the client before you hand him the mirror. All right, because how many times do you hand the client the mirror and you see, oh God, there's a little spot I need to fix real quick? You don't want
How
to do
many
that.
how many times have I handed my client the mirror and we both noticed what needed to be
Yep,
fixed at the
yep.
same time?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Avoid these issues by simply going through your haircut and walk around him, look at him from all angles, and then hand him the mirror, so that you
Yeah.
don't run into those issues.
So like I told you, I face my clients away from the mirror. So when I'm done with the haircut, I do a half spin, look at one side,
Mm-hmm.
I spin him halfway to the other, and then I finish off his spin with him facing the mirror like, oh, there you go.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
No, exactly. Hey, how do I get some of them cool beats you got on your channel? I'm so sick of Epidemic Sounds, bro. It's terrible,
That
dude.
Tito Beats, man, he's actually a really dope, humble guy. He's actually Chris Bazio's cousin.
Yeah, no, I
And
got to get down with that, dude, because the beat situation for Epidemic Sounds is getting out of control, bro. I'm so sick of these.
yeah, man, no, he's so dope, and he's definitely down to share his music as long as you drop a link,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little shout out here and there.
Yeah, no, I need to do that, man, because I know you guys always got the fire beats. I'm always looking for something similar in a lot of my content, because we're just talking for 20 minutes or whatever. We just need a couple songs to lay in there and make it sound nice and just give some extra to the feel of it.
I'm not a huge talker. I've actually been getting a lot of feedback lately, and people have been kind of telling me like, yo, your videos are kind of like dry eyes, like blah blah blah, blah. And I'm actually naturally like a funny dude. Like I'm loud as fuck. Like I'm always shit. But when I do my haircut tutorials, it's like I take it a little serious because like this is how I provide for my family. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally just taking time away from that family to share with you, with hopes that you might provide for yours as well. So I kind of take
Mm-hmm.
it seriously. But that's why beats are so important to me, because I don't talk as much as other YouTube barbers. So you know that beat just riding with the flow
Yeah, it's
kind of
smooth. It's
creates that
smooth.
vibe.
Reminds me of
Yeah,
like the way like all right, it was a lot of rappers who rap fast before Bone Thugs and Harmony, but they did it with some smoothness. You know what I'm saying? Like they
yeah,
mixed in melodies with it. It was people like Twister and there was other rappers who rap fast, but when
yeah,
you heard Bone, you were like, "Oh, these dudes are onto something. Like this is something
yeah,
special." You know what I'm saying? And when I
yeah,
watch your tutorials, I'm like, he's not saying a whole lot, but he says what needs to be said. And I feel like if I was a newer person watching it, or even slightly more advanced, there would still be a lot to be gained from it. But I talk till I'm blue in the face on mine, bro. I mean, I get into the boards, I go crazy with the markers. I mean, I feel like I'm doing all this shit, and then
yo, I like it when you bring out the boards. As soon as I came in and you were on the board, I was like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna smoke and just vibe out to Eddie right now.
I'm like, I feel like a nutty professor sometimes, but there's sometimes where when I'm done, it just like I feel like, okay, I got it on that one. And other ones, I'm like, I think I just confused the hell out of a lot of people who are finna watch that. And you
Hey,
know,
if MMA is still in here right now, shout out to his video he did of you.
oh, the
That shit
parody.
was fun. That was funny, bro. Hands down, yo. That that was my favorite one out of all of them. The Rum
Bro,
Barber one was funny,
that was great.
but
He
the
had
one
five
with
pairs of sunglasses on his head.
the world globe.
Yeah, where we gonna go? I'm gonna take you over to this. Yo, did you see the one where he got the when he first got the Masters cordless that he robbed the store to get him?
Yeah, yeah, that was
Bro,
dope.
I was dying, dude. He ran up in
Yeah,
there and I hear shots going off, bunch of shit. He comes back out. I'm like, oh my god, he did not just do that. Looked like he really ran
yeah.
up
No,
to the
I
store.
watched MMA. He's a funny dude, man.
So, if anybody in here doesn't know who MMA Barbers is, man, do yourself a favor, go over there and click subscribe. You got to check this dude out. He's great too, man, and he brings a lot of tutorials to the table as well. He's a great barber.
He's almost to your level. He doesn't bring out the boards, but he definitely lays it. He makes sure that you understand from the beginning
Yeah.
to the end exactly what you're doing.
You know what's funny, dude? One of the first videos I ever seen of MMA, and this was before I ever knew him or anything. I just watched him. I was thinking about doing a video on different guards and all that. And then I watched his video on guards, and I was like, I was impressed because he said in the video that he had only been cutting hair for like 2 years. But his
Yeah.
understanding of all of the guards and the way that he detailed and explained it, I just felt like I would be clogging the internet with nonsense if I tried to do anything other than, because it was so good, like I was like
Yeah.
that was a great video to watch. I actually,
Honestly, when people ask me, "Hey, Ant, do a detachable tutorial," I'm like, "Nah, man, but you could go to MMA's channel and check out some dope shit."
yeah, dude,
When they're
people
like,
ask me
"Yo,
that all
can
the
you?"
time too.
They're like, "Can you do an in-depth clipper over comb?" I'm like, "No, but you could go over to YouTube Barber Academy with my boy Eddie, and he got an in-depth one right there." Like, you guys put out great content that I can't follow up with that. You know what I mean?
You could, man. You got it too, man. But man, nah, it's
No,
blends, bro. MMA is the goat.
he's all right. He's all right.
Yep. All right, your favorite electric shaver? Someone's asking.
Mine,
Mm-hmm.
hands down, the
I knew
Babyliss.
it. I
Well,
knew it.
O2.
The O2. You got to know one also, or just the O2?
Just the O2. But I'm gonna tell you guys something right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've used the Gamma shaver and the Caliber shaver, and both of them feel extremely light, like they're gonna break if you drop them.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual cutting that their foil shavers do is fucking great. I
Mm-hmm.
wish that they would just invest in somewhat of a premium feel to present the foils that they have on their shavers, because I'm not gonna lie, I like the Caliber one, but
Mm-hmm.
literally, like, this might sound really weird, but my clippers, shavers, and trimmers have to be attractive in order for me to use them.
Dude, you
And,
got one of the sickest wall seniors I've ever seen in my life. I mean,
and so I'm like slightly embarrassed to use my caliber one because of the color. And then
mhm.
people are always like, "What's that thing hanging in the back of it?" And I'm just like, "Look, just let me cut."
Just let me
And then
cut your hair.
they're like, "What's the name of it?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's RPG." And they're like, "Is that a Call of Duty clipper? Like, what the, you know?" But my favorite foil shaver is hands down the Babyliss. It's just, it cuts so smooth, so sharp, and it feels so premium that, you know, I
you,
have to give them props.
I was just about to send this over to my computer real quick so I could play it on the live feed. I was doing so I got this client that he grows hair on the top of his head, but he just mainly comes in for his beard, and I always got to skin his head. And he comes in, his hair is about a number 1. I take the Bronze Series 9, and I don't pre-cut it. I just mow it down with the 1, and it just puts in the work. It just knocks it completely down. And I had a video. It was so hard to film because I was trying to show it with one. I was holding my one hand, but normally you got to stretch the skin a little bit to get that to work. Otherwise, it just doesn't cut as smooth. So every time I was trying to film it, I'm not able to show it the way it actually does work. But you can knock hair that's really long down.
So listen, Mr. Bronze Series 9, I like the Bronze Series 9, but my thing with the Bronze Series 9 is I'm not able to maneuver around the ear area like I would want to. And I feel like that flick out towards that guideline on top, with the Bronze 9, I'm always creating a new guide for myself.
Do you put it? And do you flick it to the dry mode or the wet mode? Because all right, the difference is if it's in the dry, the top of the head is stiff. I could have that mixed up, but one of them, I think it's when you put it on the dry mode, the top of the head is stiff. When it's on wet, the top of the head flops all around and it's hard to control it. But if you put it on the stiff, it actually works just like any of the other ones. Like you can actually angle it, like say up, lock it right there, and only use one of the sides of the blade, which is what I usually do when
Well, if I knew that before I gifted it to a client, then I might have
might have kept it.
Yeah, because it's definitely a smooth machine, and I'll tell you the truth, nothing cuts like it. But as far as what I need, you know, the Babyliss just it's smooth for me.
All right, they're begging me to put it in there. I'm sending it to the MacBook Pro right now. Bing, it's already there. This is just the craziest software, bro. I wanted to show you about this one of these times, man, because it's just crazy that you can like literally.
I follow your stories on YouTube.
I don't know what's gonna happen if I drop this in here. Fuck it, I'll just do it. Oh my god, it's working. Can you still hear me, Ant?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh damn! Look at this thing just put it in work. I know you can't see it because it's a delay, but I mean this hair is like literally.
I'm gonna get my daughter's phone so I could see what's going on.
Yeah.
Serenity, let me use your phone.
Like it's literally just mowing down that hair, and look how long that hair is, man. That hair is long. I wonder if it would be on the delay. All right, so like if that isn't a good enough, like let me run this little portion again. You guys can see how long that hair is. I just switched it back. I mean, this was like literally on my phone 1 second ago, and then I just dropped it in here. And you and I, we're split on the bottom left. We're still actually in the broadcast. Ah, you see it?
I see you doing work.
It's funny, dude. But like, watch when the clip ends. At the very end, you see how long that hair is, dude. I mean, that's long hair. Is there sound on that?
Yeah, I'm listening to it.
Oh, I didn't even know there was sound on it.
You hear how lag it is behind?
Oh yeah, we're way behind. That's why I can't keep it on my desk or it screws me all up. I start hearing myself talk like 10 seconds behind and I start losing my thoughts. But I mean, the fact that it can just mow down that length of hair, which that isn't really something I do often. I really only do that with him. It's just because for whatever reason it just eats his hair, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do 2 steps when I could just do 1. I mean, anything I could do to save a little bit of time. But what I was actually gonna say is around the ear. I agree with you 100%. It is bad for around the ear. But that's sometimes what I do is I just kind of leave that alone and I just take care of it with the razor. I just totally ignore it like a little patch. I'll just leave it right here and I'll just come back with the razor at the end and just bump it off there.
So I don't want this to sound like I'm here churching up Con Air, but I use the Skeleton FX, the gold one, and literally I would say it about 7 times out of 10, I don't finish off my clients with the razor because when I do lineups, I never take anybody past their natural lineup unless specifically asked. So there's really never nothing to clean up.
Yeah.
So I
hear you, bro.
When I use the Bronze Series 9, it just always caused me to go back to my foil shaver, a different one. And then I just said, F that. I'll just use one. And
it's true, dude. Like they don't seem to cut as close, and a lot of times I would actually use another one like a wall finale or something like that. I wanted to tell you something about what happened to Chad one time. Remember how we were talking about clients watching us and how it's a little weird?
Yeah.
All right, so we got a nail salon that's next door to us, and there's a dude who works in the nail salon who, like, he doesn't really respect personal space all that much. Like, I don't know what his deal is, but, like, he comes in the shop, wants a haircut from Chad, and he walks past our shop is separated good from the walk-in area when you sit down there. We got like a wall, and you sit behind that wall, and then when your time is, you come behind that wall and with us, it's a knee wall. And this dude just walks right in the shop, right behind the knee wall, right up to Chad, and literally just stands like a foot behind him, and is just staring at him. And Chad turns around, and Chad's like, "Yo, what the hell's your problem, dude? You're gonna have to go sit down. I mean, this is ridiculous." I wish I was there. I wasn't there to to do anything about it, but like. This has actually happened. I don't know why people come in and fuck with Chad, but this is like the second time this has happened to Chad. Like, Chad had some other dude who comes in and tries to tell him he's a barber too, and he comes in and starts trying to point out mistakes while he's cutting hair and stuff. And Chad's like,
what?
Yeah, dude, Chad's like the nicest dude. Like he tries to just do a nice job with this dude, and and he's just trying to be nice with the guy. But like, if I would have been there, dude, I would have told that dude, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out, dude. Like, really, you don't need to be here. Like, if you're such a great barber, take a hike, dude.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It sounds. Listen, this is real shit. My circle in life is extremely small. Like, I'm here with my roll dogs right now. I'm here with my crew right now, with my daughter. With my other daughter, my niece, like, I'm very, like, I love my family, and I love anybody that I fuck with like a family, but it's very few. But your boy Chad, man, there's something about that dude that I got love for him, man. I don't know how to explain it other than I'm a really good judge of character. And I fuck with Chad, man. That's my boy right there.
I know, dude. I love him too, bro. I'm lucky to have him. Listen, MMA just wrote a comment. He wrote a comment. Chad Volker is the type of guy who goes out with random chicks with the coronavirus going around. MMA, right? King Tro. Nah, but let me tell you something about Chad, dude. Chad is one of them dudes. He's always the last one out of the shop. Like, he comes in and he hits it as hard as he can, and he just goes above and beyond for like all his clients. And like, so many times, dude, I thank God that I got him, because when I've been there since 5 a.m. or whatever, I'm ready to get. When 6 p.m. comes, I'm ready to go, man. And my man Chad's right there, like, don't worry, I'll handle these people. I got it. I'll clean up the shop. It's all good. And I'll look on the cameras and I'll see him. We close at 6, and he'll be there sometimes at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, still putting in that work.
Yeah.
That's how I know, like, he's gonna build a good clientele. I got people coming in all the time asking about him and stuff too. So I'm lucky to have him, and anybody who's got people like that in their shop, you're lucky to have them beside you too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
because there all comes them times where we can't cut everybody's hair, and sometimes clients walk in and you just you want to make sure that the client's happy and that they're going to be taken care of. And, you might not have the time to do it that particular day, but it's just great when you got other teammates who step up and they're like, nah, don't worry, bro. I got it, man. I know you got it all the time, but I'll take care of it today, bro. It's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And, damn, man, we're gonna have to reconvene on the channel another time, man. I'm already like a half hour late. I usually do the show for an hour, man. I could talk to you all day, brother.
Hey, you know what? Off of YouTube, maybe not today because it's kind of late for you, but I want to talk to you about your whole setup, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, you gotta. This is really fun, man. Like I'm actually I'm hoping to have one of the owners of 614 Barber Supply on here next week, because like this dude, these dudes, they just take apart clippers like all day long. And when I've had a few phone calls with them and I talk with them, they're super cool, man. And they were like explaining stuff that I didn't even really know about, like voltage and like the size of motors compared to, like, he was actually telling me that the new Andis Masters, the motor that's in there was almost twice the size of the volt or the octane.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's crazy, because those things are like my workhorses. And here I'm realizing that these Andis Masters are really powerful. Have you been using them at all? Did you like those?
So I'm not gonna lie. I had them. I don't know if you've seen the ones I had. Mm-hmm. They look like Kobe. They were I had them gold, man, and they were dope. But I really hate the 0 to a 1. I don't like that. I don't. It throws off my step work, because when I use Andis dual magnetic guards, I just want to cut with the same steps that I do with wall. And if you watch any haircut tutorial that I've used the Andis dual magnetic guards, I literally did not change my step work at all. and that 0 to that 1, it throws off my whole system. I mean, clearly because it's not the same system.
No, it ain't.
But oddly enough, I'm telling you, if you just go check out my video and be like, nah, he's bullshitting me, and you watch it, I literally use my same wall system with the Andis guards and perform the same dope blurry blend.
Yep.
So
that's what I'm saying. Like you might not feel like it's the same as the wall. Because I feel you the same way. Like sometimes I switch back to my walls and I'm like, damn, my fades are coming out clean today, And then after a while I go back to the Masters and I'm like, oh, they're still pretty good. I mean, I don't feel like I struggled with it that much.
Yeah. That's how I feel. Like, so I ended up getting rid of them. But I'm literally thinking about ordering a pair from your boy at that 614 Barber Supply using your little discount. Because I saw he had a good deal. I actually saw he posted a little ad on Instagram. I just seen it like as a commercial. But I kind of want to get them again and give them another try. But the only thing holding me back is that awkward feeling where I always question my work, and I always do that when I use the Andis dual magnetic guards.
Oh man, I got like 2 blades going dull on my volts on my octanes, and in its place, I've actually been using the Masters a little bit because I recently went back to using those magic clips that you gave me.
They cut.
I love them, dude. I love those magic clips, and normally I'll debulk with something else and I'll just fade with those. And I was like, you know what? Let me use these Masters. And they were just mowing it down.
Yeah. I know MMA Barber. He lives and dies by those, man.
Oh, he does. He robbed the store to get them.
He's got that Batmaster blade. See, he's smart when it comes to all that weird shit.
Yeah. He's like the mad scientist, bro. He's got it all figured out.
Bro. He's like,
yeah, he's gonna buy 6 of them. He's gonna be like, oh, I got a number 8 on this one. It don't come off.
Right?
Just this is by in case it happens.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna split from you, dude, and I'm gonna end this broadcast. It's getting late. We'll reconvene next week, and everybody who's in here, if you get a chance once this is over, head over to MMA and head over to Antha Barber. Click that subscribe, hit that bell, and these guys are bringing that great information for you guys, as you can see, man. And I really appreciate you taking some time and joining us in the broadcast. I really hope you feel better, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate everybody that's in here. Hey, everybody, be safe. It's a odd world out there. It
Oh,
takes
it
it
is.
takes some of us to stay grounded. So stay grounded.
Exactly, man. It's only gonna get doper from here, bro.
Hey, man. Hey.
All right, bro. I'll catch you
All
later.
right, peace.
All right, you guys. That was Ant the Barber. That was fun, man. I had a blast with him, and I hope you guys take a minute to go ahead and follow him when you get a chance. And and the blending lesson is going to be keeping. We're going to keep this blend going for another couple of episodes. Obviously, we just started to scratch the surface here. We're just starting to get into some of the good stuff, and we can't possibly do it all in one show. So I really hope that you guys learned something. I hope that you guys enjoyed this broadcast. And if there's anything you guys want to do to help out the channel, it's much appreciated. I appreciate you guys all just for stopping in. And if nothing more, man, just hit that thumbs up for a little bit, good old time's sake. And I know most of you guys have already hit the bell. So again, I appreciate you guys for that. So what I'm planning on doing next week is we're going to continue with the blend. We're going to get into it even deeper, and we're going to get through it all the way until then we can get to phase 4. And we're going to begin talking about how to cut the top, how to connect the top to the sides using some shear over comb. And then at the very end, those little polishing and finishing tips, which I'm probably going to call like phase 5 or something like that. So I'm just trying to break it up into just easy little blocks so that you guys can learn it and we can just keep it going. And thank you guys so much for all the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. I see him just flying. And hit me in a super chat if you do get a chance, man. I really do appreciate that. But until next time, if we got any final questions, I'll hang around for just a minute if anybody has any final questions. And until next time, we're gonna be ending this broadcast shortly. We were able to keep like more than 60 people, like I think it was the whole time. So that was awesome. John Paul, welcome, man. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, man, it was a good one. We just had Ant on here, and we discussed some of the current affairs and the current things going on in the barber business. I hear my daughter yelling in the background. She's obviously not wanting to go to sleep. It's already 9:30. But yeah, so if there isn't any more questions or anything like that, I'm going to be signing off, and we will reconvene next week. We will pick up and we'll be talking about some of the same stuff building off of this lesson. I am Mr. Eddie Barber. This is the YouTube Barber Academy. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, giving me the thumbs up, and hanging out with me all night tonight. And we went way over, so I will see you guys in the next live broadcast. Peace.